This is Appalling News. I'm Paul Chatto. A semantic argument is raging on Twitter X because most parents believe that upon inflicting their science experiments onto the world, that they have a responsibility to raise these collections of cells into useful, contributing members of society. However, far-left pundits like PhD here believe that institutions will do a better job of raising your children. They accuse parents of treating their kids as property, as you can see in this exchange. Parents have the constitutional right and moral duty to care for and direct the upbringing and education of their children. Kids belong to their families, not the government, says the original poster. The response from PhD was, "Children are people, not property. They don't belong to their parents. They are individuals with inherent dignity and rights of their own. That fundamental truth is ignored by advocates of parents' rights." You will notice the probably childless Catwoman immediately drove off the road into a ditch and did not respond directly to a single point. This is called strawmanning. We have no idea whether parents have any constitutional rights, but there is no question they have a moral obligation. PhD has a problem with the parental rights movement that advocates for schools to return to teaching things that are useful and removing books about teddy bears having anal sex with strap-ons. Dear PhD, as far as kids being individuals with inherent dignity and rights of their own, you have never been to a birthday party with 5-year-olds where the loot bags were deemed inadequate. Also, we will be dropping our kids off on your doorstep. You can have them. Good luck. Going down under, Rip Curl's women's surfwear in Australia has replaced spokesmodel Bethany Hamilton, a surfing champion who had her arm bitten off by a shark in 2003, with a trans-identifying male-bodied individual, Sasha Lowerson. Hamilton was booted for objecting to Lowerson competing in women's competition. Rip Curl jumped at the opportunity to pick up Lowerson as a female ambassador, calling Sasha a water woman, as opposed to a watermelon. We here at Appalling News support men replacing women as we are just better. However, we do think that if Lowerson got her dick bitten off by a shark, it would be a less controversial decision. Still on the topic of just how much better men are than women, banished Olympic hopeful Lia Thomas has hired a Canadian law firm to ask the Court of Arbitration for Sport in Switzerland to change the world aquatic rules, just for him, her, whatever. Presently, transgender athletes are banned from competing. The Canadian connection is legal Carlos Sayo. Sayo swam for Canada at the 2002 Commonwealth Games in England. Now a lawyer, he represented controversial Olympic cheater Caster Semenya. Sayo argues that those rules are discriminatory and cause profound harm to trans women. We might recommend Ms. Thomas also consider trying to get her dick bitten off by a great white. Russell T. Davies? This item comes to us by way of St. Pius X Catholic School in Regina, Saskatchewan. In an effort to avoid the transphobic words girls and boys, the change rooms have been labeled A and B. The problem as we see it is, one, there's no longer any kind of hint that these are change rooms at all. At the very least, they could have made it change room A and change room B. But then what does A and B denote? Labeling them both change rooms would seem to make the most sense, as it would designate them as unisex. Finally, we don't see how that solves the trans issue, as a female-identifying trans person who prefers to use a girl's washroom will now be extremely unhappy to walk into a unisex B washroom, let's say, and find it's occupied by several gents. Being a Catholic school, we could logically assume that they would not want unisex washrooms. So therefore, we suspect that A and B are just substitutes for the terms girls and boys. And if that's the case, wouldn't A and B be just as transphobic if everyone is told what the letter substitutions mean? This leaves us with our final question. What is the middle unlabeled door used for? It's really bugging us. News organizations such as ours are continuously accused of not showing good news. So we'll finish off with an item we didn't get to in 2023. The largest tech companies are getting rid of their DEI departments. Always nice to end with a good news item. This has been Appalling News, and that's the way it is.